Yeah, it's a shit show. This channel is supported by my personal pocketbook, so if you'd like to help me out, just like, subscribe, I greatly appreciate it. So today was the release of the RTX 3080, or at least it was supposed to be today at 6 a.m. Pacific time. At least for me, it would have been 9 a.m. for those on the East Coast. And yeah, it was to be expected, but I don't think most people were expecting it to be this bad. So if you saw what was going on Twitter right afterwards, was that basically everybody didn't get a chance at the cards at all. But before we get into that, I want to talk about my experience. So I was kind of up late till about midnight and kept refreshing all the pages, Amazon, Best Buy, the Nvidia page, just to make sure that things weren't going to roll over around that time, which they didn't. Most people expected them to open at 6. So I went to bed, set my alarm for 5:45, and had a weird sleep, had dreams about not being able to get the card and things like that. Nightmares maybe, I don't know. Because I wanted to place an order on a 3080, at least on the Founders Edition. So I got up, I got ready, I saw my friends were on Discord, typing back and forth to each other, deciding on whether or not they're going to order and giving tips to each other. Anyways, I had 2 pages open. I had the Nvidia Canada page open, and I also had the US page open. The Canada one seemed to just go up late last night and had adjusted prices, which were actually great because it was actually less than the exchange rate. I think it was $900 Canadian for the 3080. So anyways, we're refreshing like everybody was and waiting and waiting and waiting. And it rolls over 6 a.m. and nothing's changed. It still says notify me to get that email. Nobody got an email either, right? So then I think, well, how about I just restart the browser? So I restart the browser with the US site on it, and there it is. Buy now. So I click it, and it just gives me this gray blot like box with a line in it. Nothing happens for a moment or two. I click X on that box. I click buy now again. Same thing happens. Then I hit the refresh. Out of stock. Well, at least I got that lucky. Because how it appears online is most people didn't even get to see the buy now button. It went for them from notify me immediately to out of stock. Now, there's been some speculation on Twitter and other places that this is basically a paper launch. Because as far as I can tell, from my searching over the hours that I spent in front of the computer screen this morning, I only found one single person who claims to have gotten one today, and it was a custom card, not a Founders Edition card. Because as it sounds, any retailers, they barely got anything. And in Canada, I mean, it's fishy. It's fishy. For example, I went to my local store yesterday. It was a Canada Computers, and I was asking if they were going to have any cards in stock for today, the 17th of September. And they just hum and haw. They didn't answer the question. But the guy offered that I could actually put down a deposit for a card. And specifically a Zotac 3080. So I was like, sure, why not? So I go step up to the register, get my credit card ready. And I start asking him about like, is this actually going to be in stock tomorrow or soon? Of course, he has no idea. So when he tells me that it's a final sale, and if it's DOA, I have to RMA it with the manufacturer. I can't even bring it back. And at that point, I was like, no thanks, I'm out. I couldn't commit to that. Especially if it's going to be a broken card. Not to say it's going to be, but if you have the possibility of it being there, and the store can't honor that and get a replacement for you, or at least take it back. That's not what I'm into. But anyways, I went by this morning just to see if there were people waiting. So at about 9:30, half hour before opening, went by Canada Computers, saw people lined up there, not too many. And then I went across the street to Memory Express, and there was a bigger lineup, not crazy lineup, but it seemed like one of the employees there was asking the employees in line one after another what they were looking for. Obviously, most of them were looking for a 3080, and he was taking deposits, I believe. But as far as I know, basically no stores have any. Maybe a few stores have 1 or 2. I've heard stores in the United States that have, a handful, But the lineups I've seen in some videos that people have posted have been insanely huge. It's insane. So back to the Twitter thing. So most of those Twitter responses, if you want to see them, are on the NVIDIA post where they posted about the launch. They posted it early this morning. And there's got to be thousands of comments by now. And a vast majority of them are people just complaining that they didn't even get a chance to buy the card. People complaining that's probably bots buying the cards. And NVIDIA's response, well, there's nothing to be heard, and I don't expect there to be anything. Do not hold your breath for NVIDIA to talk to us about how things are going. They're very secretive, and they're going to keep it that way, for sure. So, personally, I'm a bit disappointed. I'm a bit gutted that I didn't get a chance to actually go to that order page and order a Founders Edition card. But it is what it is, and I think it's probably better for my pocketbook anyways, and it's probably better for most of us to wait. And I think we can take this as a lesson, just to wait it out and see what AMD has to offer. But before I move on too much, I'm digressing a bit here, is eBay. Holy crap, man. So I was on eBay right after, like a lot of people were, and I could not believe the prices that it's going for. Now, I saw a few of them. There was two at the top before I started recording this. I'm looking at the screen right now, and one of them has $105,000 bid. Over $100,000 Canadian. This is an American listing, and it says the US price is at $80,300. And when you go to look at the bids, it says private listing. Now, I can't believe anybody's actually wanting to pay this much, but it is interesting to see that, you know, people are probably trolling. They're not going to pay. They're just going to leave it hung like that. And the buyer is going to be stuck in that limbo for a while, which I kind of appreciate. I think it's kind of funny. But actually, if you look at some of the other postings, so this is in Canadian dollars, I'm going to be talking about them. This is at ebay.ca. $13,000. $13,000 for several of them. So that's got to be like $10,000 US. 8,000, 7,000, 6,000, 5,000. There's a lot more postings now than there was earlier today. So clearly people are getting these cards. Some of them are pre-orders that came up in the previous few days. I've seen some that have actually sold for $5,000 US. That is crazy. Now, I know if I had a bucket load of money, if I just had tons of money and I didn't have to think about it, I would consider spending, double the price on a card if I wanted it right away. Yeah, I mean, if it's pocket change, it doesn't matter. But going up like over double, that's crazy. That's mental. I can't believe that. But it is what it is. I mean, hopefully most of the people bidding on these are just trolling. It's a shame because the people who are buying these are perpetuating the culture of it. And we don't know if it's bots who got all these cards or it's just lucky people who happen to get through the checkout. Because I've heard of other people going to Newegg and things and going through checkout and having their orders canceled afterwards. But, maybe some people didn't and they're going to have their card soon. And that's great. Like personally, I put in an order early yesterday on Amazon.ca for a MSI card. And it hasn't got canceled yet. The same thing happened on different international Amazon websites where the MSI card came up and people put in orders for it, only to have them canceled soon after. But it seems in this case, at least in Canada, that isn't happening. So will it get fulfilled? Yes. When? Who knows? No idea. We'll find out eventually. I'll probably cancel it before it actually gets fulfilled, but we'll see. We'll see. So on Craigslist, I've looked, and there's also a bunch of cards that are being sold in my local area. And I'm sure if you looked in your local area, you would find the same thing. Now, the prices on here aren't as insane as eBay, and you can't really troll these people other than spam their email, I suppose. But hey, it's a seller's market in this case. So I think the prices I saw this morning weren't above 1,500. Let's check again. The most I've seen here is 1,650. For a Zotac RTX 3080. And a part of me is kicking myself that I didn't put down that deposit just to flip the thing, but I would just feel too dirty doing that. I don't think I'd like that very much. So that brings me to this thought. Like, is this even a real launch? I mean, if if you're offering something and you're not willing to sell it, or you don't even have it, why even bother? I was listening to Tom from Moore's Law is Dead. Great YouTube channel, great podcast. If you're interested in this kind of stuff and you want to hear somebody smarter than I am talk about it, definitely check out Moore's Law is Dead. Does a great job. And he was talking about how NVIDIA is essentially gaming the system to increase the perceived value of their cards. Artificial low supply, essentially. And I mean, you could say that is the case. Not sure if it's actually true, but I'm just wondering, did anybody actually buy a Founders Edition card this morning? And part of me thinks that no, it's not real. The card's real, obviously, but I have a feeling that they don't want to sell these Founders Edition cards. Does it make any sense for somebody to buy a card other than the Founders Edition? Unless they're overclocking, or for some reason, hey, it's personal preference, they might think that some of the custom cards are better looking than the Founders Edition. I'm sure that 80+% of people, when they had all the choices, they're right in front of them, the Founders Edition and all the custom cards, 80+% would pick the Founders Edition, just for the fact that it's cheaper. You want to think about Canada here. The Founders Edition card is supposed to be $900 Canadian. Well, guess what? The actual custom cards start at $975 around there and go up to $1150. That's a huge bump. And I don't think it's worth it for most people. So I personally don't expect to see many Founders Edition cards floating around anytime soon. So we'll see what happens with the 3090 and the 3070. But I am not holding my breath. Not at all. When will they be available? No idea. I think you should wait for AMD, because that's where the value is going to be. At least we're going to see something. I want to see some competition. I want to see AMD put NVIDIA on their heels. But it might force NVIDIA to lower the prices. It might force them to put out some more cards that have more VRAM, because the Big Navi is supposed to have more VRAM. Tom from Moore's Law is Dead believes that AMD's card from Big Navi is going to be at least, around the 3080 with more RAM. That could be the thing that pushes it over the edge. But it remains to be seen. We have lots of time. So at the end of all of this crazy day, with all of this, it's mental. I think you just have to take home the fact that it's just a product. It's just a card. Don't worry about it. Enjoy the card you have now. If you still have one, if you sold it, that's a different story. And just let the reviews come in and just see what cards are good, which ones you might want to use. I saw a few this morning from, who was it? Paul's Hardware and Jay's 2 Cents. And from their testing, at least from Jay's 2 Cents, the EVGA card he had pitted against the FE card was almost identical. So, for performance-wise, if you're just sticking it in the case, it doesn't really matter. But again, it goes back to the price. I'm just going off on tangents anyways. I think I'll just leave it there. I think I've talked long enough. Anyways, this has been Tech Illiterate. My name is Nick. Thanks for watching.